Hi everyone, welcome to our homestead. It is time to talk about the garden. So last year was our first year trying to garden in this area, and some things were successful, some things not as much as we would have liked. We learned a lot of things and we decided to try some new things in our garden this year. And when I say some new things, we're pretty much trying all of the new things. What we did at the end of last year is we removed everything that we had in here. We had some raised beds, we removed those, we cleared the ground. We had our friend Steve came and removed some stumps that we had in the ground, all in there. He also plowed this area for us and removed a lot of the roots that were under the ground surface. This spot right here was basically a forest. So what you see back here behind me, this is what everything looked like in this area just a little more than a year ago. We brought in some horse manure and we spread it all over the garden. We also in November expanded over on this side. We cleared a lot of that area up for what will at some point become a food forest. So our plan for that area is to in the future plant some fruit trees, some berry bushes. At the end of January, we had someone come in and remove some pine trees. And I will attach his information. That's Broncos Tree Service. I'll have his information down below this video in the description box. If you live in our area, you'll want to contact him if you need any tree service done. But he came in and removed 7 very large pine trees. So all around our garden, we had these big, beautiful, like 80-90 feet tall pine trees, and they were gorgeous. And I do not take any joy in removing beautiful old trees, but unfortunately, because they were near the garden, all of those pine needles were shedding down into the garden and into the garden soil, and gardens don't really like pine needles. They are too acidic. There are really only a couple of things that I know of that do well in acidic soil like that, and that's radishes and blueberries. After he did that, he brought us some mulch that's about 2 years old. So that's what you're seeing right now on the ground laid all behind me. I honestly never thought that we would be able to do something like this, to bring just that much mulch for the whole garden. But he was able to do that for us, and we had, again, my friend Steve, we had him come back out and spread all of that mulch for us. Once he was done with that, we started laying down woven weed fabric. So we laid it around all of the edges and just down the center. That's going to be our walkway as we're getting around the garden and down through the garden. And now that we have the edging of the garden done, we are going to spread some fertilizer over the entire area and some rabbit manure, and see if we can get this soil really nice and rich and fertile. Our garden is 75 feet by 90 feet, and for this area we used 48 pounds of organic fertilizer. Keep in mind we've also used some different things like the horse manure earlier in the season and the rabbit manure right now. So there are a couple of different things going on. We didn't want to over fertilize it. Now let's talk a little bit about manure. If you're going to use manure in your garden, and I highly encourage you to do that, it is in my opinion, the best organic fertilizer that you can get. But be careful what you're using, when you're using it, and how much you're using. For example, if you're using chicken manure or even cow manure, horse manure, you don't want to be putting that into your garden as you're getting ready to seed. Those things need to be composted for a while. If you put them into your garden earlier in, say, in the fall and let it sit over winter, that's fine. Don't use too much of it. Those things can burn your plants. It can actually harm them and keep them from growing. I don't want to lie about this, so I won't swear that rabbit manure is the only exception to that. I think possibly goat manure, but don't quote me on that. Those things are cold manure, so you can actually use rabbit manure right along with your plants. So that's one of the exceptions to that rule. But as a general rule, you want to use manure in your garden before you are ready to plant, like quite a few months in advance. So keep that in mind if you're going to use any kind of manure to fertilize your garden. Now, rabbit manure, my opinion, again, is probably one of the best things to have around your garden, because I'll show you guys a little clip right here. You can see where we ran our rabbit tractor and what that did to the grass in that area after just a couple of weeks of having our rabbits on there. So you can imagine what that fertilizer is going to do to our garden. We'll be talking more about fertilizers and the different types of fertilizers and which fertilizers are most effective for your garden in the next few videos as we're planting, so you will want to come along with us as we're doing that. In the next few days, I will be seeding some things in this garden. We will also be covering our garden beds with this woven weed fabric, just like we did around the borders. There's going to be a lot more things coming up in future videos. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so now. Please click that little notification bell so that you will be notified when we are posting new videos. And until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye-bye.